We don't often cover German politics, and I thought it'd be nice to talk about it because a lot has been going on, I think, in Germany, and there's actually quite an interesting trend here. So I know we do have a dedicated German audience, so guten Tag. What are you laughing at?
They're very dedicated, they're very ordered. They come up and turn on time and watch the show. And
you can credit the Germans for being orderly, yes.
Yeah, boy.
But I wanted to focus particularly on the AfD because I think this is the most interesting phenomenon in German politics, other than the collapse of the Greens, and that's obvious because their suicidal energy policy has been sort of world-renowned, hasn't it? That the Green Party were quite popular, and they implemented lots of policies that weren't particularly helpful for being able to power your country, which is pretty important. And so they've plummeted, and the AfD have risen. And this is amongst 14 to 29-year-olds. So young people are actually becoming less left-wing and more right-wing in Germany.
Sorry for the interruption. I'm Father Calvin Robinson, and you can watch my Common Sense Crusade at 3 p.m. on Thursdays only on lotuseaters.com, where you can sign up for as little as £5 per month. Deus Vult.
I haven't done German in a while. Can you explain to me what the Not White Party is?
What?
Weiß nicht. Is that meant to be not voting?
I think so.
Okay. I thought they meant not white, but
yes, we are the Not White Party.
It wouldn't surprise me in Germany.
Is it just loads of Turks, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, surging.
Yes, you get the point. And they're also doing very well in the polls. If we get rid of that. The AfD are second here now. So, the Christian Democrats are still number one in the polling, at least, by a pretty significant margin. So even if the poll's wildly off, I think they're still the biggest party. That is the party of, what's her face, isn't it? That lady, the German lady, that name escapes me. Angela Merkel. There we go.
Gone for years and nobody knows her replacement. Nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone just thinks of Mama Merkel whenever they think of the CDU.
Yeah. It's the Social Democrats who've got the Chancellor at the minute, isn't it? Olaf Scholz. Is that right? I don't know. It's not the focus of this segment anyway. I'm just doing trivia at this point. It's not a pub quiz. This is actually a news segment.
It's actually an Austrian painter who's in charge of that one.
Oh, not again. But yes, they're doing quite well. And it's interesting because they've been around for a while. You know about the AfD, don't you?
They're pretty cool guys. I met them.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Germany with Carl back in the day. He gave a speech. We met a whole bunch of their MPs, talked about everything under the sun, and they all seemed really reasonable.
Yes. And I don't think they've seen this much popularity so far. I've not followed, their entire history, but they seem to be polling quite well.
Yeah, I think it's the best they've ever been.
Yes. And this has attracted a lot of ire from the powers that be, the establishment, the media, that sort of thing. And there are sort of silly stories like this one. Far-right leader on trial for using Nazi slogan. And this was this month. There are lots of stories targeting them this month because they've kind of realized, hang on a minute, we need to nip this in the bud. So the guy is Bjorn Hock, I think. I don't know. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. But apparently he took to stage and told the audience he would have to appear in court because of an indictment from 2021 because I once closed an election campaign rally with a rhetorical triad, everything for our homeland, everything for Saxony, Anhalt, everything for... And then he encouraged the audience to finish the slogan, and they shouted back, Germany.
Alles für Deutschland.
It wasn't exactly Deutschland über alles, is it? It's a bit different than that. It's just saying,
we do everything
for Germany, which for a German politician, objectively speaking, is pretty uncontroversial. But apparently, this article says everything for Germany, alles für Deutschland. Deutschland, sorry, my German's not very good, was the slogan of the Nazi Sturmer, the SA, or the stormtroopers.
Yeah, there's no point trying to learn how to read that.
Yeah, it's impossible to me.
I'm spell it out. Do a Top Gear.
Sturmer Tierlung.
I meant the letters, never mind, don't worry.
Oh, SA.
No. You remember when on Top Gear they had a new German car, and they were like, well, its name is German. They're like, well, read it out. And he's like, well, I'll read out the letters. It's the SDIUMPKK. SIKNLL. Whatever it was, forever.
But he basically said, well, I didn't know about this. Also, it was the crowd that said the slogan. You know,
how can he be put on trial for something someone else did?
Yeah, he said everything, for. And then they're like, you said this, you made the crowd, you used your powers of your mind to make those people in the audience say that. But it does seem to be that if they're digging up stuff from 2021 to target people, 3 years later, for something that, let's be honest, isn't that big a deal, they're probably a little bit worried. And then you get things like this. German politician filmed taking Russian money, and this was the Czech intelligence agency passed this on to Germans. He met some sort of Russian broadcaster and was allegedly given 20,000 euros in a car somewhere. And that's also happened at the same time as this previous story. And on top of that, there has been arrest of a AFD's EU Parliament aide over the claims that he is a Chinese spy. I don't know why the Chinese would want, a right-wing party to succeed in Germany, because you would presume that a right-wing party would be more opposed to a communist party.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused about that one. I get the Russian connection.
Yeah.
Because they want disunity in Europe, which is also British policy. Don't hit the player, hit the game. All right, whatever. But yeah, why would the CCP be backing the, quote
and
unquote,
they're trying to use it just like, well, he's got to step down now. And it's just like, well, it's his aide, isn't it? And his aide was a Chinese guy. And if he's just like, well, I can't have a Chinese aide, they would just be like, well, you're racist. So the guy can't win.
Maybe it's a good policy. I don't know. I mean, who keeps out the spies?
Yeah, well, it's funny that, isn't it? That if you don't have Chinese aides, this sounds bad, doesn't it?
It's pronounced SARS, actually.
If you don't have them, then there's less of a risk of them being a Chinese spy. I don't know what to tell you. But yes, it seems like they're going after them. And things have been carrying on since about January, really. And this is quite a confusing debate. AFD, Germans float ban on elected far-right party after scandal. And do you want to know what this scandal was in January?
The AFD exist and therefore need to be banned.
So I'm going to read an extract from this BBC article. The staffer identified as GNG by German authorities works for MEP Maximilian Krah, who is the AFD's top candidate in the European Parliament election in June. GNG is an employee of Chinese Secret Service, and also, hang on a minute, I'm reading the wrong thing. That's not that. That was the previous thing. Hang on a minute. That's not right. So this is, January. Germans have been shocked by the revelations that senior figures attended a meeting where mass deportations were allegedly discussed. A growing backlash has sparked large protests and public condemnation. The AfD, which continues to poll second nationally, says it is being scandalously smeared by opponents. That sounds pretty accurate to me. It was investigative outlet Corrective that released a bombshell report about a secret meeting at a hotel near Berlin in November involving around 20 people, including senior AfD figures and neo-Nazi influencers. I don't know how you can be a neo-Nazi influencer. I must have missed that on TikTok.
Yeah, the Instagram's amazing, man. I don't believe any of that stuff. Yeah. I just assume they're lying. But
it's illegal to be a Nazi in Germany, so how can they be a neo-Nazi influencer? Because they would have to be underground.
But the idea of discussing mass deportations, this is in the context of the Palestinian marches, which in Germany included shouting "Gas the Jews," which even German Antifa turned on the Palestinian marches because of that.
When even Antifa are just like, you're too extreme for us.
Yeah, no, the German position is very much you have to respect Israel or you're getting deported. I mean, big surprise, they're Germany. Like, they're kind of a bit guilty about something they might have done. How is that a controversy? How is that not government policy?
Well, it's in their manifesto to deport asylum seekers anyway. To remigrate them. And it says at least 2 members of the centre-right Christian Democrat party, the party of former Chancellor Angela Merkel, were also said to be present. So even, the centre-right party were also there in this secret neo-Nazi meeting with, the globalist. Right.
Welcome to the neo-Nazi meeting. We are here to discuss deportations of anyone who does not like Israel.
It's very strange. And apparently, the discussion allegedly focused on so-called remigration, the BBC puts in quotation marks, the removal of millions of asylum seekers, non-assimilated people, and those with non-German backgrounds, even if they hold residency rights and citizenship.
It'll be the Turks then.
Well, yeah, that's also, isn't that Reform Party policy in the UK as well, at least?
Getting rid of citizens?
I don't know.
No, not the citizens.
Ugh.
They're not there yet.
Yeah, the conservative strike again. But yeah, it's a load of fuss over nothing. They're trying to make out that this is awful and terrible, and they're just like, maybe we shouldn't have people in Germany that hate our country and make us look bad.
I mean, again, the context here is literally all about respecting Israel
Mm-hmm.
because of the Palestinian-Israeli marches. And it's like, I'm not even going to try. What's the point?
So-
People don't care about the truth.
People jumped on this notion of banning the AFD. Here at Politico running an article considering what would happen. Germany's far-right AFD is soaring. Can a ban stop it? And never mind that, they're democratically elected.
I mean, it would stop it.
Mm.
I mean, killing your opposition does stop them existing.
Yeah, but this is a sort of Reichstag fire thing, if you excuse the analogy, in that they're making a big fuss over something that seems to be deliberately orchestrated, aren't they, to seize power. That's what's going on here. That is why I've titled this segment as it is. They're not calling the AFD, the bringers of the Fourth Reich. It is the establishment, because they're trying to ban the second most popular party in the country.
For democracy, ban the opposition.
Yeah, it literally is that. They're saying there's a sort of interpretation of the German constitution that you can only really strike people off if they're anti-democracy. So they've got to claim that they're removing the second most popular party in the name of democracy. It's very strange. The Germans really have embraced managed democracy, apparently. So here's another one from The Guardian. This was in February. How should Germany deal with its far-right problem? And could it ban the AFD? And a bunch of Germans, lots of Germans, except maybe Fatima there, I don't think that's a particularly German name, contributing towards this. And here's another one as well. Vox, the dangerous resurgence of Germany's far right, explained. Dangerous. Dangerous to who?
Probably Jews in Germany, to be honest. I don't know who else they're going to hurt.
Well, not actually.
No, like the AFD are literally just going to deport people who go on Palestinian marches and shout, death to Jews.
Yeah.
So.
Also, they say, like in the US, the right is driving and capitalizing on fears about immigration. Well, they're not driving it because the actions of the immigrants themselves and the asylum seekers.
How would the right drive it?
Yeah, we're just.
Did we make them do the stabbings or the bombings?
It's all false flag, say Vox. It's actually a white man in a mask.
They run ISIS, it turns out.
Yes, they're wearing boot polish, aren't they? And there is more. Here is the Associated Press, who, distribute news to a lot of other news outlets. Germans thought they were immune to nationalism after confronting their Nazi past. They were wrong, which just sounds very sinister. And yes.
What's wrong with nationalism?
I know.
That's kind of the point in the nation state.
Mm-hmm. And there we go. Talking about AFD almost immediately. They're just trying to build this connection between the AFD and the National Socialists, which
isn't new. They've been doing it for a long time.
They've been trying to do it for a long time, and it just doesn't work, really. And here's another one. Germany's AFD to be classified as a right-wing extremist group. So this is something that's been in the courts for a few months now. That there is a push to classify them as an extremist group with their domestic intelligence services, and they want to place them under investigation. Very democratic. I'm sure this is reasonable in a democracy to get people struck off and banned because you don't like their politics. That seems reasonable, doesn't it, Callum? So they're obviously trying to overturn this because there have been... Oh, that's not right. There have been attempts to reverse particularly the local AFD branches. I think 3 of them have been labelled as extremist. So supposedly it is the ones... Where is it? So it's Saxony, Thuringia, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and Saxony-Anhalt. All 3 of them, by their local authorities, have been designated as extremists already, and they're trying to sue to reverse it. and that happened yesterday. So this is something that's ongoing, that they're basically being persecuted. And I want to go to their manifesto, if it's possible. I don't... I can't see the manifesto, John. I tell you what, I think I've got it pulled up on my laptop, but oh, here we go. Cheers, John. So here we are, never mind. So here are the sections: democracy and core values, Europe and the euro, national security and justice, foreign and security policy, labour and social policy, you know, the usual stuff: families and children, culture, language, identity, schools, immigration and asylum, economy, digitalization, blah, 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 blah. All the usual stuff. I didn't see anything on the Jewish question here.
Not quite.
No.
No rules on blood.
No.
That's not in there.
No.
The Polish solution.
Nothing about Lebensraum. I mean, they're pretty terrible National Socialists. They've missed out on all of those policies. But you look at this and you look at some of their things, just like they want more referendums based on the Swiss model, so more direct democracy.
Just like Adolf Hitler.
Yes, he loved democracy, didn't he? He wants the party want a lean government for free citizens. They want to reduce the power of the state, just like Hitler. You know, they guarantee the separation of powers, separate political offices and membership of parliament. You know, they want to make it more along the separation of powers line, you know, like the mid-century Germans. And you look at things like their economic policy in here, and it's things like, yes, we want more free trade. We want less state interference in trade. We want people to be able to make money and not worry about all of the laws dictating what they should do. And we don't think that the EU should tell people what to do as well. I mean, this is sort of more libertarian, right?
Not very good Hitler stuff. That's
no. It's almost like
kind of Milton Friedman.
Yeah. It's absurd, isn't it? That, you know, if you actually read their manifesto, it really is very different to how they're being made out to be. They're trying to make them out to be these extremist Nazis. They're actually just like, we kind of want liberalism. They're sort of right-wing conservative liberals, is how I would describe them. They want to have a set out sort of constitutional system. They want separations of powers. They want free trade, but they're also sort of conservative in social values in that they want to, you know, make sure the family is protected, and, you know, they're against mass immigration and, you know, transing kids and all those sorts of things that, you know, the right in this country are in favour of, presumably at least. So I also wanted to mention that you can listen to them in their own words, because here is, I believe this is you talking. Yes, this is you talking to a member of the AFD, although it says ADF in the thumbnail.
God damn it.
Did you do that thumbnail, Callum?
No.
So this was from the 9th of November 2020. So this was some of the first stuff on the website. The thumbnail's been incorrect the whole time. And also, Coles spoke to Dr. Gunnar Beck as well. This was in 2022. And Bo has spoke to Peter Boringer, I think you pronounce his name, and that was only September of last year. So if you want to hear members of the AFD in their own words, well, here you are.
And thankfully in English.
Yeah, even better. Not in their own words, in our words. And there are obviously lots of legitimate problems in Germany that I think the AFD are the only party positioned to actually sort them out. Things like this: school children are converting to Islam out of fears in German schools. A study warns Christians feel they are outsiders and are desperate to try and fit in since huge migrant flux. Apparently, 67.8% of students believe the Quran is more important than the laws in Germany, which is absolutely horrifying. When the Germans start thinking that, you know, a higher ideal is more important than the law, things start to get interesting, don't they? If my reading of history is correct.
Have you heard German Islam?
It is scary sounding, isn't it?
Islamic rants in English are kind of weird. Islamic rants in German. Oh boy. Yeah, it's scary.
It just, whenever someone starts shouting passionately in German, I'm just like, uh-oh. Looks like we're back in the trenches, boys. Also, Germany passes gender self-identification law, allowing infants to transition, and imposes massive fines for dead naming people. So, supposedly children, I think.
And then one day, for no reason at all, people voted for the AfD.
Yeah. So apparently 5-year-olds can now start medically transitioning from this law, which passed a few days ago, which is horrifying. In Britain, we've at least pushed back the age to 18. It shouldn't be at all. But final thing I wanted to mention as well is that their economy is not doing too well. And that's true of a lot of European countries, to be fair. But normally Germany is a sort of the rock in which the rest of Europe can be a little bit neurotic and unstable, because Germany is normally known for its economic stability, and now it's not so much, mainly due to their suicidal energy policy, which has had a knock-on effect to lots of other things, but as well as reckless government spending, lockdowns, all sorts of things contributing to this is obviously a very complicated issue. But there are lots of problems that I think the AfD are well equipped to tackle, and I wish them all the best. I think there is an election coming up in June for the EU Parliament, which is quite important because, of course, Germany kind of sets the tone for the rest of the EU, doesn't it? As far as the EU works, they're the sort of most important country in it these days.
They're the ones with all the Greek debt, so...
That's true. So they kind of tell Greece what to do, at least in the EU, to a certain extent. But keep an eye on Germany. Some weird things are happening. I don't think they have realised the irony of what they're doing to the AfD, that they're trying to remove them. But best of luck to them.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as Common Sense Crusade with Calvin Robinson. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.